The end of Volume 6 had 3 Arnold and Rishi moments, but her trying on the wedding dress and Arnold reacting to it was definitely my favorite. Before we talk about the bonus scenes and the epilogue, let's close the plot for this volume. In the last video, Rishi was preparing to be bait for the kidnappers/human traffickers. In this chapter, they realized the core of the plan, which was that the trafficking was a cover. A long, risky journey from Siarga to Galkine, and their focus on only unwedded noble women makes no sense for typical slave traders. So they concluded that the man behind it, which was Thaddeus, is actually a warmonger, which is basically a merchant of death aiming to provoke a war between the two nations. Rishi sees a terrible connection as this plot links to the future war Arnold started in her past lives. So she vows to become an ally so invaluable that Arnold will choose her peaceful path over the destructive alliances. Still, for now, she carries out her plan and even convinces Joel to act as her maid. Fast forward to when they got kidnapped and are in the ship's hold. She easily escapes her rope bounds using a tiny blade hidden in Joel's earring. And the first thing she does was to secure the other kidnapped woman. Then they fight their way to the deck and a thick fog covers the sea. And as we know that Joel likes to fight alone, but here he really couldn't do that as the ship kept moving to throw them off. Joel got injured and they start struggling really badly. That's when Arnold arrived. He boarded the ship by himself and immediately hands them the weapon. While Joel recovers, Rishi and Arnold fight together flawlessly as they know each other's moves. It's mostly action, but we see that by her side, Arnold remains strong, proving Joel's belief wrong. In the end, Rishi uses her last arrow to disable the person steering the ship and hijack the whole thing. Then the Imperial Guards and local sailors flooded the deck and the battle ends. In the quiet aftermath, Rishi returned to the villa where she needed to check the progress of Arnold's healing and reapply the medicine to it. When she got to his room, he was seated on the bed, his torso bare. Rishi sat in the chair before him, meeting his gaze after she finished her examinations. She determined that the healing effect of the goddess's blood was more effective when an injury was in critical phase. After that, it healed at a normal rate. Arnold wasn't really interested in what she had to say, but he was still listening. Rishi steadied him, but his expressions never changed. Instead, he cupped her face, squeezing her cheeks. Like always, she asked him to stop teasing her, but he was only enjoying her protest for some reason. Rishi puffed up her cheek in irritation. Then he asked if she was hurt or ill. She assured him she wasn't, and she also told him that she wasn't expecting them to be so gentle. I mean, they weren't too rough on them as they were the merchandise, but they didn't even bother searching them for hidden weapons. That's why she couldn't imagine the slave trade being their main business. After giving it a thought, she pieces together one final clue, that the slavers' destination was Ritena, which was the domain of Lord Levine, the very man Arnold executes in all her future lives. She suspects that somehow Lord Levine is involved in Thaddeus' plot. Now, I don't know how much of her suspicion is true, but we have seen in the anime as well that Lord Levine and Arnold doesn't really have a good relationship. Now to the bonus scenes. The day after the ship fire, it was time to retire for the night. Once Rishi had a bath, she helped Arnold disinfect his wound in his bedroom. Ultimately, he allowed her to do as she wanted. That's why Rishi was preparing to not just sleep there, but also to serve as his body pillow yet again. Although, something was bothering her. What is it? Arnold asked. Rishi was seated in the middle of the bed. She hugged one of the many pillows on the bed and tugged on his sleeve. You use a soap with slight pregnancy, right, Your Highness? She asked, and he answered just as she expected, saying that it could be distracting otherwise. Then she brought the back of her hand up to her nose and breathed in. This time he called her name instead of asking what was bothering her. She hesitantly told him that Joel had figured out that they had shared a room together, as the same scent of flowers was coming from both of them. Arnold must have seen how red her face was, which only made her more anxious. She glanced at her own night clothes and explained that she tried putting less lotion on after her bath today, but she still thinks that she smelled stronger than him. And like most of the time, he was speechless. She said that she'll go wipe herself down once more and get as much of the smell off as she can before getting into bed. But she stopped when Arnold reached for her. His large hand slid around her back and pulled her close. Then he brought his nose down to her neck. His face was right up against her skin, and he muttered, "It smelled sweet." Before she could begin explaining herself, he continues, "But I think that's just you," pulling away with utter indifference. Rishi's eyes widened before she could digest his meaning. "It's not unpleasant. You don't need to get rid of it. So hurry up and go to sleep." She was trying to protest again, so he said that he'll switch off the lamplight. At his insistence, Rishi hurried under the covers. He really seemed to not mind the smell, and he didn't say anything when she snuggled up to him. But she thought about what he said just now. No, I'm sure there wasn't any deep meaning to it, she thought, deciding to stay in denial once again. There are more than one characters who have hinted that they like her, but she just chooses to stay clueless. It's the same when she goes out to try her wedding dress and Arnold reacts in the most romantic way. After trying on the dress, she inspected herself in the mirror once more, checking her back as well, before a voice came from the other side of the door, calling her name. She responded back to Arnold, and with one last look in the mirror, she asked him to come in. Her heart was beating so fast. He entered the fitting room and stared straight at her. The sight of Rishi in her wedding dress was reflected in Arnold's blue eyes. And I guess it's safe to say that the dress was perfectly made, and on her it looked even more beautiful. Rishi lowered her head in embarrassment, telling Arnold about the sapphires on her dress, while he stays completely silent. She was getting even more nervous because he wasn't saying anything. Is there something strange about it? The thought crossed her mind and she hesitantly began, "Listen, Prince Arnold." But before she could finish her sentence, he suddenly embraced her. His voice was lower than usual as he whispered into her ear, "Must I really let other people see this?" The strong passion in his voice caused Rishi's face to burn even hotter. She knew that he was complimenting her, but she still hesitantly asked, "Does it look bad?" "Of course not," he replied, stroking her hairs, and then he reminded her that to him, she's the only beautiful thing he knows. Rishi buried her face in his chest to try to mask the heat flowing through her veins. "And you won't even let me wish to be your wife in all my future lives?" she thought and pouted, until Arnold softly called her name. He kisses the top of her head and she looked up in surprise, but he was just staring down at her as if nothing had happened. She wanted to tell him what a tight grip his teasing had on her heart, but she couldn't. After some time, Arnold said, "I see, so I haven't said enough yet." Rishi shook her head. That wasn't true, but she'd already begged him for one selfish gift on her birthday. Trembling, Rishi replied, "It would be an abuse of authority." Arnold couldn't possibly know why she'd said that, but he lowered his gaze and took Rishi's left hand, kissing her ring finger. Her bare shoulders jumped. She held Arnold's sleeve, and without thinking, she found herself begging for more. It was unfair of her to beg like that. She knew that, yet she couldn't stop herself. Even so, Arnold didn't scold her. Instead of kissing her finger again, he cupped her chin. Her eyes went wide when their lips met, but then she closed them. She felt a twitch in her chest as he intertwined his fingers with hers. He must have thought I wanted to practice kissing again. Because I'm in my dress now, it will be different, she thought and completely believed it, but her heart still ached at his soft kisses. Their lips parted, then met again. Rishi kept her eyes closed. They kissed again and again, but Rishi never felt like she got any better at it. Rishi let out a sigh and pressed her face against Arnold's chest to hide it. "You're terrible." She stuffed down everything else she wanted to say to him and left it at that. As though he could read her mind, Arnold stroked Rishi's hair and murmured, "I know." He was kind and terrible all at once. He allowed her to kiss him so much to practice. He toyed with her the whole time since she wasn't getting any better at it. But he will never promise a happy future with him, the one she wanted more than anything else. That's why Rishi had to win it for herself, no matter what it took. "There's something I want to ask you, Prince Arnold. In order for me to marry you," she began, and tightened her grip around him before she finished her sentence. "Please let me meet your father." That was the end of the scene, and I think Arnold is long lost in love with her, so I'm guessing he will agree to the meeting as well. And then in Volume 7, we'll probably get some scenes including his father. Either way, we are definitely moving forward with the relationship, and we will surely get more random scenes of them together. Like another bonus scene in this volume, where Rishi stared down at Arnold's hand as they rode in the carriage on their way back to the capital. Her cheeks flushed with heat. He was seated next to her and had fallen asleep with his head on her shoulder. She was flustered at first, but eventually she calmed down as she listened to his quiet breath. She reached for his hand, then held it and withdrew. Then she eyed her own hand, lifted it, and kissed her ring finger. Nope, no success. Rishi pulled her lips away and crooked her head before changing the angle slightly and kissing her own hand once more. That wasn't it either. She blinked as she observed her hand and then glanced at Arnold's again. His hands were resting defenselessly on his lap. I need more practice, she thought, and just as she was about to kiss her own hand again, he woke up, asking her what she was doing as he grabbed her hand. His voice was low and husky from sleep. Rishi confessed, saying that I was just thinking you were really good at it. Good at what? He asked, still confused. So she explained further that he was really good at kissing the back of her hand. He sat up, pulling away to observe her. Rishi, meanwhile, couldn't meet his eyes at all. I don't think that's something you can be good at, he said, so she complains that when she does it, it's totally different than him. She was trying so hard to describe what she meant that she doesn't even realize that their fingers were intertwined. She had kissed the back of Arnold's hand on the beach in Windrace, but the kiss she'd given him with her vow was much clumsier than Arnold's, so now she was practicing with her own hand. Arnold stared at her for a few moments before lifting their intertwined hands and bringing them up to Rishi's lips. Here, he said. Rishi looked up and met his gaze, asking, you don't mind? Do what you want, he replied. He was giving her permission to practice on him. It's unfair of me to touch him like this when I'm hiding my love for him, she thought. Still, she took him up on his offer and pulled his hand closer and kissed the base of his ring finger. Then she peered up at him. She really didn't feel like she'd done it well. Arnold was just giving her the same disinterested look as always. She took that as a permission to continue and kissed his hand again. But she wasn't satisfied with the second kiss either and scrunched her face up in confusion. She changed the way their fingers were intertwined and kissed him the third time, then changed her angle and kissed him the fourth time, but still she couldn't do it like him. As a test, she nibbled on the finger with her lips, but she was quite sure this was not the answer. She thought there was something special in his kisses and wished that he would just tell her the trick to it. She called his name in surrender and he sighed and let go of her hand. She thought he got tired of it, but as soon as disappointment pricked her, his hand held hers and her eyes went wide. He kissed the back of her hand, pressing his lips to the same finger she had. His touch was gentle and sweet, almost like she'd melt under it. It was nothing like her kiss, she thought. Yet Arnold brushed his lips against her skin, held her gaze and declared, I don't think we're doing anything different. But to Rishi, it was completely different. So she decided to get some more practice in before the carriage reached the next stop. On the other side that night, a line of carriages arrived in Galkine's capital city as the guests for their wedding were arriving. The carriages were finely decorated, and inside one of them, a man was sitting on top of brightly colored cushion, his chin resting in his hand as he cheerfully drowned a drink. I can't believe little Arnold's taken a wife. He set the golden cup down beside him and grinned gleefully. I have to wonder what sort of woman could change his mind when he looked at me with such contempt over my harem. It was King Zahad of the desert country Halil Rasha. He chuckled deep in his throat, saying, I'm looking forward to meeting her. That's how we're going to end this volume, on a cliffhanger, though there are some spoilers for the next volume that says that King Zahad will also end up liking Rishi. And I feel like the closer we get to their wedding, the more chaotic it's going to be. Plus, the next official volume is going to take some time to be published. So in the meantime, I'm going to find the web novel and read with fan translations. They're basically like the drafts of the writer's final work. So tell me if you want me to continue with them. Till then, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to me. Take care of yourself and goodbye. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change.